And then I think it was June that SHRM had their conference where SHRM was basically like, we're going to be dropping the E in DEI. We're not going to be talking about equity anymore. We're changing it to belonging. We want to focus on belonging and inclusion. And, you know, for too long, we've made specifically like white males feel like they're ostracized and they're not welcome. These are people that we need to help push our ideology. So we need to get them on board. We need to stop pushing hate towards them and get them to believe in the work that we're doing for the greater good. But when you go to Bridge's website, there's a list of tons of people from tons of huge corporations, like directly working with, directly like giving money to Bridge to be on their boards. So there's quite a lot of corporations directly involved.
And
schools, I guess, apparently are putting litter boxes in the bathrooms.
Yeah, that's actually.
I thought that was a joke. My friend told me that. I live in Florida, and it was a friend who has kids in Florida, and I thought he was joking.
Wait,
but no.
What?
No, it's that's
What?
Is there a source? What the heck?
Renegade Online.
Well, let me ask you first. I mean, for everybody's sake watching out there, so you've got DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which we've all covered on this channel and many of the other channels that are here a number of times because it's impacted most everything that's in Hollywood and in social life out there. So explain that and what Bridge is to kind of give basically everybody a good overview here.
So Bridge was set up as like a DEI monitoring company. And after they got enough information from monitoring, they set up something called IMAX, which most normal people know is like the big 3D theater place.
Yeah,
but the Bridge,
in my world, that's the theater.
Yeah, the Bridge IMAX is a 72-point strategy in embedding DEI practices into every role in the company. And one of the things that they talked about that was really spooky on their IMAX is the equity of availability of products and the equity of pricing of products. And a little bit earlier this year, after I found out about the Bridge stuff, we started seeing places wanting to do surge pricing. And since surge pricing is essentially just changing the price of the product depending on the time of day, when it's peak, when it's kind of quiet, it doesn't take too far of a leap to think, okay, well, if Bridge is talking about equity of pricing of products and they're already doing surge pricing, then it's probably not going to be too difficult for them to actually implement something like that.
So are we talking about, in this case, almost sounds like pricing, you know, products in stores for different people that check certain boxes or don't check boxes or...
Yeah, so like the equity of availability is like if you live in a sort of socioeconomically disadvantaged area, they're going to price things lower than they would in, say, like a nice suburban neighborhood. Or depending on your race or gender, they will price things differently for you.
So you're being penalized for not being destitute? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, it's a very strange thing to want to do, but it was part of their 72-point blurb thing, and
that'll grow the middle class.
I have a screenshot of it that you can open up, and I'm sure it's on their website still, but the screenshot is like the easiest thing to do.
Yeah,
if you
want to go ahead and share it backstage here in the StreamYard, and I can pull it up.
Yeah, there's just a link to my tweet about it, and then you'll see it looks like a cell with like a ton of text around it.
I have a question about that. I live right, there's rural and then there's the country. And yeah. I live in the country. I'm in Georgia, so even out in the country, we have a fairly large minority population, obviously, of Black folk, and even South Americans, because we live in an agricultural area. I get the idea that they're trying to target that type of thing for urban cities with higher minority populations and such, but we're a lower, labor, heavy area. But there's still a lot of white people, and the white people are dominant in this. They're still dominant. So are they targeting specific cities with that sort of pricing, or is it a particular financial demographic and it doesn't matter what the cities are?
I haven't seen any actual initiatives rolled out for the equity pricing as of yet. It's just something that they have in their IMAX that they want to do. That it's part of what they want companies to start adopting.
Do we have like an idea? Has this been adopted by any companies? Yes or yet, or is this something that's being sort of floated out there?
Well, with that in mind, Valiant grab Staccato.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. I just looking at that. Staccato DDS, one of our big supporters here in the Renegade Nation, for $20 says Starbucks is doing this right now.
Oh,
really?
So,
of course they are. I lived in Washington State for 20 years, so of course they are. By the way, I'm a Staccato owner and lover. Gotcha.
Well, they would have to,
Yeah.
right? Because half of their staff has blue hair, and those are the only ones that can make the good coffee anyway. So it's sort of between a rock and a hard place here.
As somebody who's fiercely pro-gun and lived there, we don't spend a dime at Starbucks because they're anti-gun. So
Really,
their coffee's totally overrated.
First the Christmas cups.
There's
I used to always buy
coloring
Starbucks blonde roast cold brew from the grocery store, but as soon as they started being really weird many years ago, I was like, I'm not buying that anymore.
There's better coffee.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, and look, everybody knows I'm from New Orleans, and I mean the Starbucks town here to me is like the Antichrist. You know, we come from a city that's known for food and coffee, in particular.
You sent me some of that coffee.
Yeah, you've had some of that
coffee.
New Orleans coffee and chicory from Community. It's very different. I mean, people are like, oh, you're crazy if you drink it black. I'm like, no, we drink it black and with chicory in it. And
It'll put hair on your
100%.
chest. Yeah.
I love it. In fact, I grow chicory. I'm growing chicory so I can make my own.
oh, cool! I love it.
Wow. This is why I say open small businesses. Obviously, you have to have a talent and a drive and the means to do so. But the more small businesses we open and the more that and you should support your local small businesses. Go out of your way. If you don't like this nonsense, you actually have the ability to have a say about it. And one of the best ways that you can speak and use your voice to these companies is by going, actually, I don't have to give you a dime. I can go over here and I can spend my money at this place. And I promise you that even if the coffee or whatever it is that you get there isn't great, small businesses are going to take your feedback and they're going to utilize it way quicker, way more effectively than a large business. Large businesses aren't going to care, right? Large businesses love the nonsense of, oh, it's just a Karen, so we can blow them off. No, small businesses want to build a rapport with you. They want you to keep coming back. And so if you need or want something from them to kind of keep that business going, they're going to listen to you. I've seen this firsthand multiple times. I live in a small town in Kentucky. Okay. There are little businesses around here that stay open because our community has just that. It's a sense of community. We understand that the small businesses are what keep us afloat because this is a crappy little area. So go find yourself a small business and invest in it because it is an investment and it's a worthwhile one at that.
I was a small business owner for 20 years. I owned a day spa, had employees, apprenticeship program, and every dime that comes in goes back out responsibly, whether through our own personal income or through our business. And we tend to be more inclined to be more community service oriented as well, where a lot of the big corporate, they may just throw money out there just to say that they've done something. But the small businesses in their own communities become very active to make sure that their communities stay solvent. And they support, just the community service, like here where I live out in the middle of nowhere, churches are big, obviously. Like we don't have a horrible homeless problem because our churches because the community takes care of people as opposed to the government having to come in and do it.
And I'm sure when people hear like equity of availability and equity of pricing, they're just gonna be like, isn't that illegal? That won't ever happen. But look at how long we had to deal with affirmative action before it was even brought to the courts, and they were like, okay, maybe this is discrimination, right? So it's like, even if it is illegal, and even if you think that companies wouldn't do it, like still pay attention. Don't just completely discount it, because then we'll find ourselves in another bad situation.
Then you'll find bathrooms with people with male parts in there and kitty racks with transgender binders on them. Like all of this stuff is bat crazy. Oh yeah. But here we are, nonetheless. It's happening. Don't put it past them. This is why you have to be proactive. You have to.
Or schools, I guess, apparently are putting litter boxes in the bathrooms.
Yeah, that's actually.
I thought that was a joke. My friend told me that. I live in Florida, and it was a friend who has kids in Florida, and I thought he was joking.
Wait,
but no.
What?
No, it's that's
what?
Is there a source? What the heck?
What? Explain the litter box,
I'm looking that
Amanda.
up.
They're for the furries.
For the furries.
Oh,
for kids that identify. Yeah. Listen, if it's I left
furry is not a gender. What?
I know. I left New York State to get away from that stuff, so I thought it was a joke. I'm like, okay, if it's happening in such a red state like Florida, it's happening anywhere like that.
What
In
was it?
Washington
It was a
State, it's
private.
thing, too.
Was it a private? Wait, what was it they were putting
It's
in
a
the litter
public
boxes?
school. So
Oh,
it's a public school. A friend whose kid
Oh.
is actually homeschooled, right? So the kid is
God.
safe from the litter boxes. But their friends were talking about how they have them in the bathroom, and I was like, no.
Okay,
I remember a news story about a lady who had litter boxes at her house for like the guests that came over, but out of school? What the heck?
Well, that's
No,
in
I've heard
Florida. Wait, that sounds like one of those things
found
that
it.
probably has not
found
been
it?
brought up to DeSantis yet. Like this is one of those things, you
Tampa?
know, that Ron DeSantis
No.
would personally drive
Maybe.
over there and handle that situation.
Or
It could be
Rubio.
TampaBay.com.
I
Or
wouldn't put it
Tampa Bay
past Tampa.
Times
That's
has it.
a very blue area. Because like I
Tampa
said,
Bay
the
Times,
kids
yeah.
are homeschooled, so it could be. I didn't get like details because I heard that and I was just like, what? Like I didn't know what to say. I thought it was a joke.
I'm lost.
I was exactly.
My daughter.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's
My
real.
Claim was
It's
made
real.
back in July by
Wait,
Erica
who
Pickard.
has
She's like,
the
I'm
link for
gonna
this?
find this school.
Mary, can you share
found
your?
it.
Can you
Yeah,
share
I
your
found
screen? No,
Yeah.
come
Tampa
Oh my
on.
Times.
god.
It's in Pinellas County. That's why.
So,
Ugh.
the person who claimed it, Erica Pickard, claimed Hillsborough schools provided a litter box for students who identify as cats. It looks like the officials are disputing it. So it's like a he said, she said sort of thing. Hillsborough School Board candidate Erica Pickard insists that students who identify as cats are seeking special treatment in schools. As part of our campaign, the Palm Harbor University High Guidance Counselor regularly refers to students requesting litter boxes in their school restrooms. Refers to students requesting what? This week was no exception, explaining her concerns with how diversity, equity, and inclusion programs have become part of a liberal agenda, a concept pushed by Governor Ron DeSantis and his allies. Pickard on Monday raised the issue of going too far in accommodating students. Wow.
So I want to throw in here. So where I lived in Washington State, the county that I lived in is Turner while I was there. And there was 3 military bases there, and it's still, and it turned. So, but the one area in the county that is still red, my girlfriend's kids go to that school district, and in the middle school, they have litter boxes in the school district in this red area of the county. So this isn't just happening in blue areas. It's also happening in everywhere.
Well, because it's I guess you're right. It's not just about, blue or red area. At the end of the day, the education system in general is run by one side almost no matter where it is.
This is unsanitary. This is completely unsanitary.
It is.
There's a reason that we have toilets that flush. It's to get rid of fecal matter. That is disgusting. This is
Now it just went from teachers not letting kids go to the bathroom during class so they piss themselves to like, here, have a litter box, go have fun.
Jeez Louise.
Oh, my Lord. Okay. Wow.
That's
well,
so wild.
Did not
You're
expect
welcome.
that one today.
You're welcome for that information.
I am so thank you. This has
You
been
learned
Wicked
something new.
Virtue
I have a
and her
question.
contribution to tonight's show.
If you don't mind, I have a question circle back to Chris's her comments on the implementation of this this equity thing. And I'm looking at it from the perspective as a gun rights advocate and how what I'm known for are red flag laws and speaking on dangers of red flag laws, particularly for women and abuse victims. And so much so that I actually defended Rahimi last year, who was not the person that we would ever want representing gun owners in the United States Supreme Court. But it's what we had. So what states do, or what the federal government does in that case, is they will pay, for lack of a better word, the states to implement policy. So, or baits through subsidies corporations to do it. So if this isn't implemented as a government objective, for lack of a better word, could you see something coming out of it from private entities that are being subsidized in some way? Is there anything that you've seen on that?
When you say private entities, do you just mean like regular corporations or?
Yeah.
Yes. If you go to Bridge's main website, you can see all of the companies that directly work with Bridge. So even if companies are like using the language, like Walmart isn't directly affiliated with Bridge, however, they are using the adopted language. Like the SHRM presentation also had the language. But when you go to Bridge's website, there's a list of tons of people from tons of huge corporations, like directly working with, directly like giving money to Bridge to be on their boards. So there's quite a lot of corporations directly involved.
And Kershaw, when you say SHRM, I know what that is. I know you know. Probably some of y'all here know what that is. But for those of the audience, SHRM, it's what is it? The Society of Human Resource Managers,
Yes.
right? Yeah. Now that's a term that's been around. I was trying to remember what the S was for. I was pretty sure it was society. But I mean this is where, and that's where a lot of this DEI stuff has been pushed down to the corporate level. Is just like for everybody out there. Think of it this way. I'll give you the analogy. We were just talking about school systems and how, a kid goes to college. I want to be a teacher. They go through an education degree, and that education degree does a lot of political indoctrination along with teaching them how to become a teacher, right? So, and then they go into the classrooms and they're running the schools. They're running the staff of the school as it was and the students, and that's where it's getting forced into that education culture. It's being pushed in. Human resource managers do the same thing. The same thing is happening there with human resource professionals and SHRM, and they are, like the teachers are to our kids, they're bringing the same thing into the corporate environments. It's the same. Does that sound? Is that about right, Kershaw?
Yeah, and it was about like April this year that the whole changing the language thing started making its forefront. And then I think it was June that SHRM had their conference where SHRM was basically like, we're going to be dropping the E in DEI. We're not going to be talking about equity anymore. We're changing it to belonging. We want to focus on belonging and inclusion. And, for too long, we've made specifically like white males feel like they're ostracized and they're not welcome. These are people that we need to help push our ideology. So we need to get them on board. We need to stop pushing hate towards them and get them to believe in the work that we're doing for the greater good.
Right. Good luck with that.
Yeah, right.
Speaking as a white man.
See, this is where the only power that we possess comes into play. You cannot purchase from these institutions. You can't, because if you do, you're rubber stamping this behavior. You're telling them that they can and that they should, because it's advantageous there's no downside. It's completely advantageous on all fronts, right? And so when you rubber stamp this kind of behavior by spending your money there, then you've sent a loud and strong message. And I cannot say this enough. Boycotts don't work often. Bud Light's a rare example of a boycott really working. But even now, they've done a bit of a rebound. It's the mindful management of your money and where you spend your dollar, and the application of discipline, which is difficult but worthwhile. More worthwhile than I can possibly say. Motivation fades. Discipline lasts. Don't allow yourself to engage with companies that haven't earned your money.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.